Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing a scrap wood DIY project and we're going to be making a plant shelf. I am in desperate need of a two-tiered plant shelf for this window here. I have this beautiful jade plant that was my grandmother's and I have recently trimmed it and I'm trying to propagate all of those trimmings. I have about 15 or 16 that I am trying to propagate and I just need some space. So we're going to take some scrap wood that my husband had set aside and I'm going to transform this into something beautiful for this space. So if you're ready, let's get started. For this shelf, I will be using these plywood scraps. They were both the same length and cut one of them down so that those would be like the legs. I'm going for, like I said, a two-tiered kind of plant shelf. So I measured the width of the window and the ledge as well, and thankfully these fit perfectly. I was going to use 2x6s, so if you have like 2x6s or even 2x4s, those would probably work as well if you want to make something like this on a smaller scale. So I cut them down, like I said, and I'm just going to evenly space them out, and once I get them spaced out, I'm going to mark on the leg as well as the top portion so that when I go to glue them, I will have them lined up where I want them. And I'm going to be using a combination of the Titebond wood glue. It's the Titebond Quick and Thick, and I'm going to apply that first. And then I do have my my pin nailer here, so I'm going to tack in a couple pin nails, and then I'm going to take this out into my husband's shop and actually use brad nails for more of that secure hold. And then I'm going to let it sit for maybe like half an hour to an hour so that the glue will start to set up as well before I continue on with decorating this plant shelf. Now, I really wanted to share this project with everyone because this is a type of project where I could just leave this as it is, put it in the window, and be fine. But why do that when I love to create and craft things and I have so many scraps, whether it's transfers or stamps and paint on hand? I'm going to make this really pretty for my space. And if you guys have a small, simple project that you think that maybe doesn't really need much, have fun with it. I had a lot of fun with this and I love how this turned out. I'm going to be using transfers and stamps and all the scraps that I have laying around, and then it totally transforms the look of this. So I did 2 coats of the driftwood chalk paint. I let that thoroughly dry before I started to apply everything else to it. And as I mentioned, I have a ton of scrap transfers, so I will be using various transfers that I have. A lot of them are from this botanical transfer set. I do have a couple left from the ephemeral transfer set, and then I'm going to use a couple of the stamps from the Queen Bee stamp set. So I wanted to share everything that I will be using here before I just get right into it. The great thing about transfers is that you can cut them up. You don't have to use the whole piece if you don't want to. So that is what I'm doing with this one. This was the last large sheet from the botanical transfer set, and clearly you can tell that it is not going to fit as one on this shelf. So I'm going to cut it up and use it on the top as well as a couple of the other transfers. And as I said earlier, I just had a lot of fun doing this and I let my creativity go. You know, this is just for me. It's not like I'm trying to resell this. So I really could take my time. I could place things where I wanted, and I was doing it for myself. And I think that made this project more fun was the fact that I was doing something for myself versus trying to resell it. And if you haven't worked with transfers before, the transfers come with a backing, and you could see in this one I did cut the top portion of the backing off. I just did this to help make sure I had correct placement for it. It is a little tacky, so sometimes once you apply the transfer to the surface, you can't necessarily pick it back up. So I wanted to make sure I had it in the correct location, and I also wanted this transfer to come down onto the front little lip portion of the top of the shelf, if that makes sense. I mean, you can see what I'm doing here, but I wanted to make sure I had it placed correctly so that some of the transfer would hang over, and it just kind of makes the this piece look more intentional with, instead of just slapping a couple transfers on the top. I just took my time and I used the burnishing tool, and it did take some time. I think that this clip here of me doing the entire portion was like 20 or 25 minutes of doing this. So again, it took some time. Clearly I have this sped up, but again, if you're doing something for yourself and you're having fun doing it and you're creating, it really goes by quickly. So the next step I did was adding these plant seed transfers from the ephemeral melange transfer set. I really love how they pop with the green from the botanical transfer and then the gray chalk paint. I really like how this ended up looking. So I'm going to do the same thing as before with the burnishing tool, and from there, I was just thinking about what else I could add to this plant shelf to keep the creativity going. And I would like to know, if you guys are still sticking around at this point of the video, are there any fun projects that you are working on for yourself? Or do you have a booth and you are in full spring mode? Are there any craft fairs that you are prepping for? I haven't done a craft fair in a while. I went to one a couple weeks ago and it kind of made me miss doing them. I don't know if I'll get to do one, for the holidays this year, but I do miss, doing the craft fairs. So if there's anything fun that you guys are working on, let me know in the comments. The next thing was to work on the legs. So I am using the Kindish Regards stamp, and I'm just going to apply the permanent ink to the stamp and very carefully apply it to the legs. Now I'm doing it on either side of the leg, and I'm also going to do different parts of the Kindish Regard stamp so that no one's going to be looking at it like super close anyways, I understand, but just to add a little bit of difference amongst the legs, I decided to do different parts of the stamp. and now we are using the Queen Bee stamp set. So I actually only did this bee in 2 spots. One was a tester area on the leg because I really wanted to try this white ink, which I haven't used before. So I did it on a tester area, and it was very subtle, which I was going for. So I just did it right here on the top, and that was it. Again, very subtle. It blends in pretty well, but I know it's there, and it's just a little something extra on the top of it. So also from the Queen Bee stamp set, there are these, I don't even know what you call them at the bottom, but I don't know, I guess like they're for frames or something, and I wanted to add them to the front portion of the leg because it was kind of boring. So I'm just using the New Grass green ink from IOD and applying it to the stamp, and then putting on the front side of all of the legs. And then the last thing that I'm going to do is I wanted to do like a faux distress on this. I didn't want to actually distress it because it is plywood. So I'm just using black permanent ink and I'm applying it to the edges just to give it that faux distressed look. I did let this dry for a little bit before I sealed it, which I thought that I had recorded, but I did not. And I just sealed it with some clear wax. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. This is a little bit of a different video. It is a DIY project, but this is the only project that I got done this weekend. But I really hope you did enjoy it because I want to share items that I'm doing, even if I don't have 3 or 4 or 5 projects. You know, I'm always crafting and creating, and hopefully it inspires you. If you only get one project done, but you have this idea in your mind, go ahead and do it, and I hope that you have fun doing that. So I really hope you enjoyed this one. I hope it gave you some inspiration to try some crafting of your own with some scraps that you have laying around. And if you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up and please consider subscribing, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye everyone.